You're back on solo.
Well, I don't want to be. So, will you fix that, please? Hi. Are you scared yet? Hello! Welcome to Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Presented by Primary Arms. How's everybody tonight?
Good.
Well, good.
Start.
Sharonda's having a little tough time, but give her some slack tonight. She's still waiting for all of her UPS packages to come back.
I
Shop,
wish.
shop.
I wish. Needless to say, I will always listen to Nick and Ray when they say how to pack.
Oh, you didn't listen to before?
No, I did.
Okay.
And I'm glad I did.
Yeah, she went home with a bag full of goodies.
Batteries.
I had to find room. I bought stuff on Friday, so I had to find room. So
Yeah, but you went to the show Friday, right?
I went to 2 shows actually on Friday.
Yeah.
Hey, what'd you find and what'd you buy?
So start with a small thing. Picked up some 3-round Berthier M blocks for my Berthier. So I took one I loaded with 3 rounds.
Oh, look at you with the fancy gun.
So, and then probably the coolest thing that I almost passed on is, and they're pretty rare, is a Type 2 1944 dated Griswold bag. So these were designed for the paratroopers. What these were, so the Type 2 is the intermediate one between the Type 1. This one came with the zipper, and then the gun still had to be taken, your grain had to be taken in 2 pieces. So this is more than my guess, potentially. I haven't been able to do the date code on this one yet. I know it's a 44, but haven't been able to get the cage code yet. Potentially could have saw action in D-Day.
Oh, really?
So, potentially.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Don't know.
Awesome.
It's hard to say, but I picked it up for a good deal. The only thing it's missing is the buckle, which
I may have one.
we might have one at the house that can potentially get sewn on. The zipper works like
Wow,
a
that's
dream. $60.
Sweet.
They go for about $250, $300 all day. So
Right.
Did the person not know what they had?
Yeah, he did.
he knew what he had.
He said he was.
I almost walked past it because I saw it, the condition it was in,
I said, you better take a look at that.
and I was like, okay, it's a repop because I have a Type 1 repop Griswold, which is without the zipper, and I paid $20 for that one at show. I saw something, okay, that's an early reproduction in really good shape. Then Dad's like, oh, you gotta look at it. I'm like, okay. So I was like, is it a reproduction? He's like, nope, it's original. My heart dropped. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm gonna be walking away with this thing. He's like, he put it the best way to put it. How do you say it?
Said I can't take stuff to the grave with me.
So I was like, $60. Here you go. I couldn't get the money out of the wallet fast enough. So if shipping wouldn't have been outrageous, I potentially would have bought a gun. Potentially, but it would cost me $100 to ship a gun back last year, so I just passed. And so
What would you buy?
potentially that Mark III.
Other Snyder.
Yeah, steel
There's a
frame.
solution for that, Nick.
What's that?
Load your stuff in a truck and move out of Illinois.
No, it was just shipping. I could have shipped it. It was $100 last year.
Because it's
to
a
ship
long
gun.
box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the box. You're paying for the box and then the odd size. And if it was $60, $70, I probably would have bought it to ship it. But the $100 last year, and then of course shipping costs have gone up since last year.
That's true.
So I didn't want to think what would it cost. So I didn't really consider. It was a nice, beautiful gun. But I know you were looking at one too, and
Yeah.
so, but just
Like, what have I always said? Would you pass up a gun?
well, hey, that's like I passed on that sling and I went back and it was gone. So who knows what it's going to be coming. I do have one coming tomorrow that he's going to be at the house picking up for me. So can't wait for that to get here. So
I remember in 2013, I shipped my Ruger M77 AWS to myself in Arizona, and it cost me $80 back then. Round trip.
Not anymore.
What's that, Shrenda?
I said not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, another thing, I took a chance last year. I think it kind of got held up somewhere, and they lost tracking on it for a little while. If I remember right, I think that
I
was
don't remember.
it. Was some weird situation. It got hidden. Some I don't. So I passed them. It wasn't a superly great deal. It was a good deal, but it wasn't to the point. Oh, it's that good of a deal. I had to buy it. It just the gun was in great shape for what it was. I think it was like an 1865 dated gun. It was just gorgeous.
Did you finally wind up with the rifle or gun?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I have that one. That was the
Yes.
one my Snyder that I've been shooting here recently. That was the one I bought out there last year. I was going to buy another one of them, but this was the longer version. But just decided not to. So
When you pass up one gun, you know another better one comes along.
exactly. But other than that, just getting back here. Busy day at work today and yesterday. Getting caught back up from the week gone. Been editing one more of the videos from the show, the interviews, and then have this to start. This is from FW Arms. Will out there. Going to be doing a review on this for the channel. So
Did it beat you home?
no, I've had this.
He ordered that one.
I've had this for 2 weeks now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I've had probably one of the first ones Will sent out. So
We just got to get you the other FW Arms one with the spring in it. So
yep.
you
So I
can
can
have-
compare all. We're going to compare this one, a Lee, the auto centering FW Arms, and I have a universal RCBS die decapping. So we're going to do kind of a 4-way comparison. So
Which,
I
by
think
the
it'd be-
way, he didn't say not to mention it, but he may be having coffee too,
oh yeah,
which was pretty damn good.
He made what?
He's gonna have coffee.
He sells
Oh.
coffee.
Yeah. He sent us a sample, and
Oh.
I let the guys. I don't know if Nick and Ray had a cup. I let Chris have one cup, and I killed the rest of it.
I'm not a coffee
God.
drinker.
I kind of got
Shameless.
hooked on coffee now, Shrenda.
Shameless hussy. I love it.
Hey, there was no shame, and then I had the nerve to tell Will he should package it for every X amount you buy, or for every 2 products of his you buy, he should ship a bag of coffee with it. And he was like, well, he's working on it. It was good. Mike, what the heck are you doing back there?
You're muted, Bubba. Muted again.
I was looking for something.
Paul Loud. Had it already. Shrenda, your coffee was probably too strong for Chris Sharp, which is why he isn't on tonight. Well, we admit Chris is slacking, runs slack for his job.
I think his wife may have beat him after she found out what he spent at the show.
No, I think technically Chris's wife may beat him when she finds out how much he spent at the show, and a fraction of it is not even hers.
Yeah.
Oh.
And in my defense, you guys are my witnesses. I asked Chris, what did you buy your wife?
He might have said one thing, but I don't
Oh,
know.
my God.
I think he may have only said that one thing as an afterthought, like, yeah, I bought her this, but if she doesn't like it, which leads me to believe he didn't even consider if she would like it when he bought it. So we'll see.
Mike, we might be meeting you again in January in Las Vegas. I've been told she'll stay in a hotel room.
January?
Oh, all right then. Are you coming to Nashville in April?
Not this year.
Okay.
Is it an Indy this year, Mike?
Oh, sorry. Indy, not Nashville.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I want to go to Indy, but no, we got decide to go too late, we might go to Nashville next year. But if we do, we'll have to go to Dick's again. Only thing is, you won't
Is
have
it
the boys.
Nashville next year?
I'm guessing.
It's either gonna be Nashville or Louisville. It's one of the two. Kind of the way they run them.
Louisville will be all right.
Needs to come back to St. Louis. That's an easy drive for me.
Close
That
for
would be an
sure.
easy drive for me too.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'd have to meet all the Paul. You have no excuse. You'd have to show up too. Can you
I don't think it's
imagine the
an
whole lot of us
itinerary.
on the air
Yeah.
in one room?
What's
Bring
that?
your own microphone, Shrenda.
We'd have to do that meme when one dumbass meets another dumbass meets another dumbass. And, we could be that whole meme.
Yep.
God. Five hosts in one room. Oh my God.
Michael Dunn, you recall that Chris's wife was going on auction?
Going to an auction.
No, to an auction.
Oh, I thought he was going on auction.
No.
Even Chris isn't that dumb. Trying to sell his wife.
I'd say if she's getting ready to auction off some Chris stuff, let me go
Yeah,
empty
that's
my
it,
bank
yeah.
account. Is Paul Loud talking about me? Yes, Paul. I am crying. I'm like majorly crying over that bipod. If you're talking about me,
I didn't watch that yet.
I forgot to show you guys this off air. This is like half of a firearm or a third of a new rifle.
Yeah.
What brand?
Atlas.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
Who gave you that?
Ain't nobody gave me shit. I mean,
Come on, tell the truth.
No, she's
no. I bought this.
Yeah. We
I
heard
said-
that before.
I bought this. Like, no
Yeah.
joke. Now y'all know if this would have been given to me or sponsored, I'd have been like, look, you guys.
Yeah, that's what you get for being a 501c. Yep.
Wait. Let me tell
Wait.
y'all something. This will not be shared.
Mhm.
Can I borrow your? Hell no. You can borrow that Magpul, but you can't borrow this one. Yeah, no, it was, yeah.
Now we got to get you enough. Did you get enough stickers to go on your gun case so you look professional?
No, I got a bunch of patches. I didn't get a whole bunch of stickers.
Oh.
And I have to contribute the patches to the guys because I didn't get the 2 days I had to work. So the guys made sure they hooked me up with patches. I got a few stickers.
That was my whole right pocket was all Shrenda's patches, while mine went in the left side.
Yep. And zipper pulls.
Aw,
Got lots of zipper pulls.
that was so nice of you.
Yep, it was. They kept telling me they felt bad. And I was like, don't feel bad, but don't stop grabbing me stuff either. Which, by the way, SHOT Show was interesting. I enjoyed it and hated it at the same time.
Did
Now,
you
what
wear
made you
good
hate
shoes?
What did I hate about it? That they had like 13 secret rooms that were just
Secret
as
rooms?
big. I was calling them secret rooms. That whole extra building that
Well,
was
they-
way over the bridge. I was like, where the hell did this room come from?
Oh, circus, or
It was a circus.
Caesar's Forum.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the big thing with that helping out Shrenda is before last year, that building did not exist, the Caesar's Forum, and there was a wait list to go to SHOT as far as a exhibitor, and there was in the hallways you'd have small booths. You'd get a day in the hallway, and then you'd have to pack up and go home, and they would be switching every day.
God.
So now that
Seriously?
seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw it, but I've seen it online because I've watched SHOT Show footage for 10 plus years now. But I know Mike's seen it firsthand. You'd have one day, for instance,
Yeah.
your bipod company there. The next day, that spot would be
A knife company or
a
somebody
knife
else.
company, whatever. It's switch every single day.
Mm.
So that's the nice thing about the building. They got out of the hallways into the other building, and like this year there was no wait list. Everybody was able to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is the nice thing about the building. Yes, it kind of sucks. It's a little bit of a walk. I don't see it as a long walk. That's just me.
I didn't
But-
think it was a walk. I wish the layout was a little bit different. But that was just me being a noob.
And I kind of was that way last year. But you've never been to an NRA convention, have you?
Nah. This was
So
my
it's
first ever convention.
If you've been, I've been to NRA multiple times before going to shot last year, so I'm kind of used to bigger conventions.
Yep.
Mhm.
If you've never been to anything, you're kind of either a kid in a candy store or you're a mouse stuck in a box that can see his way out, but he doesn't.
I was both, but I didn't mind being stuck in the box.
There you go.
I didn't mind.
So the NRA has not announced where 2024 will be yet. So, but
Was it Houston last year?
They're going to try to make it New York.
Oh God.
Oh God.
I think the weirdest place they've had it, wasn't it like Pittsburgh one year, I think, years
Yeah.
ago.
Pittsburgh's gun friendly.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the weirdest spots because you're pushing East Coast, you couldn't get rid of the Midwest. That's why they've tried to keep it central.
I
or
attended
somewhat.
that show.
It's like St. Louis would be a perfect one. They haven't had St. Louis in 10 plus years.
Oh no, it's been back.
No.
Do they have the space for it in St. Louis?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they got the dome. Nobody plays there anymore.
Oh.
Well, scratch that. The Battlehawks do. The new XFL team does, but
Oh.
they only play in
Plus they got the convention.
Yeah, plus you got the convention center there. There's plenty of room. So
So what's new with you guys?
I think Atlanta was the dumbest one.
yeah.
So 13 was, so let's see here. I'm scrolling backwards. They go all the way back to 2004. So that was Pittsburgh. 5 was Houston. 6 was Milwaukee. 7 was St. Louis. They're not going to bring it back to Milwaukee either. So I don't want to hear about it. 2008 was Louisville. 9 was Phoenix. What the hell? 2010 was Charlotte. Again, what the hell?
That was
2011
nice. I went there.
back in good old Pittsburgh.
Yep.
2012 back in St. Louis. 2013 was Houston. 14 was Indy. 15 was Nashville. 16 was Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
17
that was our
was
last one.
Atlanta.
I remember.
And then
Dallas was in there somewhere.
I think Dallas might have been 19 or 20.
Dallas was, I don't remember, 19 or 20. I drove down there for the weekend. Excuse me.
I remember going to St. Louis. It was nice. We stayed at Millennium Hotel.
Yeah, the one it's nice, centrally located, right nice downtown. So and there's tons of hotels around there
Mm-hmm.
because it was for an NFL franchise for the longest time. So you had to have the hotel space, and plus you got Busch Stadium was at 6 blocks down the street. So there's a ton to do right in that area.
18 was Dallas.
Okay.
I know the next time if I get to go next year, I will be traveling with a coffee cup.
God, woman.
Well, duh.
Look, we walked past the Wild Gear booth and I grabbed a cup and I was like, "How can I buy this? Or are y'all selling this?" And the guy was like, "We can't sell anything here." And that was when I discovered that my feelings literally was hurt. I was ready to have a tantrum because I couldn't get this cup right then and there.
Did you get it eventually?
No.
Okay, you said right then and there. I thought maybe you wheedled it out of them later.
No. Did not.
Here's the kind of cup to buy right here. 30 ounce. Keep your stuff hot all day or cold all night.
But it looks like an old man's cup. I wanted this awesome millennial looking hot rod cup.
Whatever.
Should I change my finger? You had that one covered, lady. Good job.
Oh, good
Good
grief.
job. Anyway, are we going to talk about reloading or what?
I don't know. Are we?
You
we?
should.
Well, I did one thing for gun related last weekend.
Yeah.
I went into the BX and discovered on Fort Bragg and discovered they have a gun corner there. No kidding. They have ARs, bolt guns, shotguns, all kinds of nice little toys on sale. I'm like out of breath. Oh my God, be still my heart. And the BX and Bragg. No tax for me. No sales tax.
Nice.
Oh, really? Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nick's jealous. That's Nick's jealous face.
Let's see. I can't see it too well. Nick, where are you out there, Bubba?
Well, it's probably nothing I would want. It's probably all new stuff.
No, it is. It's a
Exactly.
new AR. They had
It's-
3 ARs in one display, and 3. They were all different.
So nothing.
An AR, what's that?
Yeah, what's that?
What's that?
We can't have those.
We can't
in
have
Illinois.
those.
I told you, load your stuff in the truck and move to a better state.
Actually, right now you can.
Yeah, we have a year.
A year.
No.
No. That overturning was only for 800 and some individuals and 2 gun stores.
I can sign up for one right now.
The injunction
That's-
was
Yeah.
oh, just that county.
Just that county.
No, I can do it tomorrow. I could actually sign up for it if I wanted to, for that county. It was just being filed in that county.
Right.
There's that one that got overturned or temporary restraining order. There's one in White County, down south, and then Macon County is getting ready to file one next week. So, but it's gonna go court and get beat out anyway. So
You hope.
when they're doing this, I just
Well, I listened to a couple of people talk on this, and there's 3 reasons it can be overturned. So that's not a problem. The same thing with the stock ban and and all the other things that are going on. So, and then the Second Circuit Court got its ass handed to him by the Supreme Court and said, we're going to let you make your choices, but get it going. So now they're taking all 5 cases that they have and lumping them all into one so they can expedite the hearing, which is supposed to start in 2 weeks. So that is that's going to happen then, because there's about 3 Supreme Court justices that just want to jump all over it.
It'll be nice.
Yeah. So we had Nick going out there and casting bullets. Does anybody look at Discord and on YouTube to see his casting specialties?
I did not see the whole thing. I just saw a picture of Shiny.
Picture of Shiny.
Yeah, see, there's some really, really nice, pretty cast bullets that haven't been contaminated with ALOX.
Hey.
I was waiting for that.
Enough with the abuse.
Yeah, they're just gonna get lubed with beeswax. So
Yeah.
Ew, what's that? That's that old lube.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
they're black powder. So
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pass off the guff that came from Mr. Nelson over to you, Mr.
Yeah, that's okay.
if I could find a way to powder coat these, I would. But
Ew.
if I could find a way to shoot black powder,
All you
with
gotta do
powder
is shake
coating.
and bake.
Well, no, I powder coat, but being I
Okay.
think these are pure lead, I'm wondering if that powder coat's going to mess with grabbing the rifling.
Powder coat a handful and find out.
I thought about it, but
You gotta be traditional.
I know, and that's the thing. That's why I don't want to, because it looks good traditionally. So I
Powder
just feel
coat
like-
with clear coat.
yeah. Never thought
I'll
about
just
that.
try it and then just have candy on
Yeah.
the shoe for it later.
Yeah,
Brandy.
coat in pink, like candy shoot it. Ray, you are no good. You really put your son on the wrong path with candy.
Did I say you could have one of my cookies?
Hey, they was calling my name.
Jeez.
Along with the bottle.
His whiskey always tastes better than mine.
That's your bottle of whiskey you brought over. It's not my whiskey. I don't drink Canadian Club.
Canadian Club's good stuff.
It is good. I don't give that an issue, but I have other stuff that I drink.
That's what I grew up drinking.
Rum.
That's because you're in Wisconsin.
No, that's
Close to
because
the
that's what my
port, yeah.
mom had in the house,
Yeah.
and it's what I could water down.
So what he could steal and get away with.
That's right.
We've all done that.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Not me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I saw that too. You know,
Yeah, right.
I didn't. I was a boring kid. Ask my mom.
she's got her fingers like this, you know, behind her back.
Her ankles are crossed.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. I was one of those kids where I tasted my mom's and it was nasty, so I never fooled with it after that. I think she strategically left it out so I would do that.
I don't know. I got into it because my grandparents lived just a couple blocks away, and they had a nickel slot machine, and I'd throw about 5 or 6 nickels in and jam the handle up and call them downstairs, and they'd have highballs upstairs sitting there, and you know, whack a couple of them back real quick. You know, so that's yeah.
What do we need to start reloading?
What do we need to start reloading?
Yes, from the beginning. From the beginning. Well, number one, a desire to shoot more.
Well, first
And
off, you need, yeah, go ahead.
Reloading, not hand loading.
Yeah, first you need an empty piece of brass.
No, you need a desire to shoot more.
Mm. Need an
I got a
empty
piece
piece
of
of
brass.
brass. Okay.
Oh, well, what do you know? I found one. Well, can you imagine that?
Glenn, no, that's wrong. You don't need a bench.
You know?
That's
No, you
right.
need-
We do not need a bench.
You need an empty piece of brass. You need a bullet.
Projectile.
A projectile. A bulletto. Okay, we got a bulletto. We're gonna need something to set the to go in the little flashy hole there. What is that? Do they make them anymore?
They're rare.
Primers?
What? What are
Primers?
those? What are those?
What are those?
I got one. I got a live one right here. That's probably worth. I'm gonna give 25 cents. I know what I got.
Oh, look at that! There's large
Oh my
rifle
God.
primers.
Ooh.
Bench
BR,
rest.
BR2.
Ooh.
Bench
Bench
rest.
That's
Uh-oh.
right.
That's real money there, folks.
That's it. That is real money.
That is real money. Okay. So everybody just take note what he's using to shoot with now. All right. Ooh. Lock his doors, put all his primers in the gun safe, all 100 of them in the gun safe. Set the alarms on the house. Okay.
Oops.
And then we need what's it called? An appropriate, right? Is that it, Nick? An appropriate
That's
powder?
some real money right there.
Oh wow, that's a whole 1,000 of them.
A
Them
brick.
things they don't make anymore. What now, Nick? We need some appropriate. What do they call it? Appropriate powder for whatever we're reloading for.
Yeah, I'd say it that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Man, I can't just grab any powder.
If you want.
Actually, we've got a comment on screen from Glenn Eason that I'll go along with it halfway. We need knowledge. We need information.
So he's wrong twice now.
Yeah, because you can go online and do it.
Gonna
So
be very
actually,
nice.
Glenn's wrong 3 times now. I'd just like to say, because first he said a bench, which was wrong.
Agreed.
Then he said, brass projectiles, powder, and primers, which he was correct on. So we'll give him credit on that. Then he said reloading book or books, which technically he's wrong on. And then he said single stage press and dies, which he's also technically wrong on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Why is he technically wrong, gang?
Have you ever heard of the lead loader?
Good old lead loader.
Well, you need a mallet for that thing.
Yep, mount and a hard surface.
Lead loader. So here's your reloading book. And here's everything you need to reload cartridges.
Yep.
So, do I recommend this? Not necessarily. This is for 30 carbine. I have a 30-06 one around here somewhere. I can't find it currently. Otherwise, I was going to actually use it to load up a 30-06 dummy. So, I can't load up a 30 carbine because I don't have anything for that. So, because I don't have a 30 carbine. So, anyway, Michael Dunn. I don't know if they still make them or not. Let's check.
What, that load alls or lead
Yeah.
loaders? Yeah,
Yeah.
they still make them.
Since I have Titan's page up, we'll check.
If anybody needs about any caliber, my local shop has about every single caliber you can almost think of in them. That's perfect.
What?
That meme. Follow me for load.
Yeah, Chris Sharp's method for reloading.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't do what Sharp did. So
Now, I'll say one thing. I watched a guy reload 22-250 one time with H4350, and he did fill the cases up all the way to the top with it.
Ooh.
however,
Yeah,
is
but
that
they
a compressed load?
It is a compressed load, but you want to know what? It's still not a high pressure load.
Hmm.
It's the powder's too slow for the size of the case.
So he actually probably could have used
a slower powder, something like 4064 or 4320. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Not a problem, But since he only had one powder and that's what he was learned to do, that's what he did.
Yeah.
So anyway, next. I'm leading everybody in the wrong direction.
So this is the very bare minimum that you would need. If you absolutely bare minimum, okay. The only other thing you need to go with this is a hammer of some sort, like a dead blow hammer, or they show in the instructions. Come on, solo. Stupid computers. Anyway, so they show that style hammer to use. You can use that one. You can use a dead blow, that type of thing. So,
And if you really want to, you can also use an arbor press.
yeah. So, that's like the bare minimum.
Right.
The nice thing about something like this is it's very space conservative,
Fits in a pocket.
literally.
Yeah.
So,
Good thing to have in your bug out bag.
yep.
Yeah.
So it looks like they make 15 different classic Lee loaders right now. So they make 9mm, 38 special, 357 Magnum, 44, 45, 44 mag, 45 auto, and 45 Colt. Rifle, they make 223, 243, 270, 4570, 3030, 762 by 54 Russian, also known as 762 by 54 rimmed, 308 Win, 30-06, and 303 British. Now, in the old days, they made more, including shotguns. So,
Probably the most expensive one's a shotgun. That's the 410.
yeah, which I'll probably never get my hands on. I think I have a 12 gauge around here somewhere.
The 410 ones go for about $300.
Right, because I only made them for so long. Anyway, okay, so now let's make Glenn correct. So we said Glenn was wrong because he said, so I get past their cup talk, he said a bench, which he's still wrong on because you can use a table. Hell, you can use the floor for that matter, but table works, worst case scenario. You could use a workmate or some other little folding project table. A reloading book or books. Yes. Even honestly, if you're using the Lee loader, you should get at least one reloading book. So you can kind of understand the process. Now, the Lee loader has great instructions and they go through in detail. But it's only for that specific tool. It's not reloading in general. Now, most of your reloading manuals, which I don't know if I've got one laying around here or not. Yep, I do. Like the Sierra one, actually have a section on the actual reloading process. And so they go through and they explain like definitions and what you want to do. Like this one here, they talk about what's rimless and rebaited and semi-rimmed and belted and rimmed. All different just types of cartridge cases. Okay. And then they go into the data and all the rest of that fun stuff. So, you know, I probably don't, I still don't have enough manuals, frankly. But one is better than none. But as they say, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So common ones nowadays, Sierra. There is Lyman, Hornaday, Lee. RCBS doesn't have one, I don't think.
Burger.
Spear.
Nosler.
Spear, Nosler. Most of your bullet companies have them. Powder companies typically don't, but they usually,
Ogden does.
They have they have
Hodgdon, yeah, Hodgdon does.
Shooters World has one.
They have
and then they usually have online data. If the powder companies aren't as detailed, they're just basically data, not actual reloading books.
right.
So where most of your bullet companies and your reloading equipment companies, their manuals actually have reloading stuff to go with it to teach you how to reload. Also, that's what we're here for. And a lot of other stuff. Now, our format's probably not necessarily as conducive Eventually I'll get to making like actual videos for basic reloaders and stuff like that. But we kind of we do go step by step, and we will. But the way we break it up, it kind of isn't necessarily conducive to being the best material to use, shall we say, if you were going to pick one podcast to use. So single stage press and dies. Yes, have to have those. This is a single stage press. That's a die. That's a decapping die. Because if you look down here, oh, it's not picking up enough. Hold on, watch this. Come on. Didn't brighten up as I want, so now you can see the decapping pin sticking out of that. And this is a shell holder. This is a single stage press. This is an O press. So single stage presses usually are either an O or a C. And you can see the O because it connects. C, usually this is not here. So here's your handle. Your ram's right here. When you move your handle, your ram goes up like that into the die. So anyway, that's kind of the basic rundown of your single stage press. So basically there's two dies. Your two basic dies is your decapping die and then your seating die. Their seating dies typically crimp as well. Dies usually have a lock nut on them to make sure that they don't go down any tighter or down any farther. And that's because there is a certain space required when you move that brass up into the die. So, but we'll cover that later. Right now we're talking equipment. So now dies, some die sets come with a shell holder, some don't. So you need to make sure you check that out when you're looking at dies. There's all sorts of different dies from all sorts of different companies. Some of them are fancy and have micrometer adjustments on them. Some are just basic. You can also get universal dies, like a universal decapping die. So this is FW Arms universal decapping die, and it auto centers. So this is better served on a progressive press, which is where the brass travels around and does all the stages in one time before it falls off. And Nick noisily is digging out the brand new one. So as you can see, it's a little shorter, quite a bit shorter. Basically, if I take and we make his die is about half the length. So but that's the purpose of a universal decapping die is it allows you to process your brass for cleaning without actually having to resize them, because you want to clean your brass before you resize it, which brings us to one of Glenn's other options. So absolute basic cleaning. A container, Dawn dish soap, and if you really want, you can put a little bit of Lemmy Shine in there and some water. You can use hot water if you want, or you can use cold water. With Dawn, it doesn't really make much of a difference, especially if you put the Lemmy Shine in. You put the water in the container, put the brass in the container, and you shake it all up. If you want to do the hokey pokey while you're doing it, have fun. But then you dump all that water out And if you go to like Goodwill or somewhere like that, you can pick up a colander. Like for straining pasta, and you pour that mess out into that. Okay, Jim, go ahead and add him again, because I think you added him and I unadded him.
For some reason, it doesn't. There he is. There's
Hi,
a strange
Twavis.
face. Who's that?
That's Twavis. Twavis Buck.
Hello.
Hi, Twavis.
He's frozen.
He's upstairs. No, he's not frozen. I can see him blinking. He's just confused. Because he's not in his normal room. Now he's frozen.
Oh.
Anyway, so Travis is trying to join us. So you take your bucket of soapy water, you dump it through the colander or pasta strainer, whatever you want to call the thing. And then you shake that around to try and get sorry, I just read Michael Dunn's comment. You try and get as much of the water out as you can. Rinse your container out, fill it full of cold, clean water, dump your brass back in, shake it all about again, dump it back into the colander, and repeat as necessary until your water's clean. So, if you want. I mean, you can honestly just rinse it once and be done. Ken Brown wanted to know you use Brasso instead of Lemmy Shine. No, never use Brasso on brass. Why? Brasso has ammonia in it, which then breaks it down. And all of a sudden, you're going to chamber around, and it's going to go kaboom because you didn't realize. Now, that's a freaking genius idea, Glenn. You get one of them cheap lettuce spinners, and you put the brass in there, and it spins it, and you'll get all the water out. Hey, Jim. We're talking very minimum stuff, all right, gang? The idea is on the cheap if possible, okay?
Oh, well, you didn't finish why brass is absolutely unacceptable for cleaning brass.
I started with the ammonia weakens the brass. And
Right.
then all of a sudden
What does ammonia do to brass?
And blammo.
Yep. It embrittles it.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're going to chamber around and it's going to go kaboom.
I'm going to add Travis.
Okay. I'm not. Hi again, Travis.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you guys?
Oh,
Good.
not so bad.
Long time no see.
I know, right? So life gets busy when you
I thought I'd just check in with you guys since you guys all got back from SHOT Show.
Well, I didn't go this year. So, but Nick and Ray and Sharenda and Chris went.
So is Sharenda back, or is she still in Vegas?
Nope, she's back, but she had to go work. So we did 2 SHOT Show shows last week. We're talking about tonight. We're talking about the basic equipment you need to reload. So
Okay, well, I can tell I am on special assignment, so I am not at home. I'm actually in Virginia, and
How's
I
the
can
weather?
tell my quality is horrible. So I might. Wonderful.
Travis, whereabouts in Virginia?
Right now, I am in Chesapeake.
Okay, you're probably 2-3 hours away.
you guys could get together and say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. You gonna be there for the weekend?
But I can tell I'm here for several months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Now, Travis, you got to tell everybody what the minimum is for reloading, right?
Minimum, not max.
No, minimum. For Travis is a 1050 with a case feeder, power drive, and auto bullet feed, right?
Yeah, I think we've gone over this before. My minimum that I would want is different than most, but
Yeah.
at a minimum, I would say definitely get a set of calipers.
Okay.
Good
And
choice.
actually, you don't sound bad. So you actually don't. You actually sound pretty good, all things considered. So
Yeah, consider he's being poisoned by the East Coast there.
yeah.
You know,
Hey.
hey, you're in the mountains. It doesn't matter there. You know, he's in the lowlands. You know, where all the you know the left left coasters say. You know, he's having a hard time dealing with it.
Yeah, New York attitude is a hard thing to get rid of.
Yeah.
Mhm. Anyway, back to the equipment. I think Travis froze again.
Yep.
Travis, blink twice if you can hear us. Yep, he froze.
You want me to take him out of the stream?
No, just leave him. He'll
Or
drop
he
out on his
disconnected
own.
himself.
All right. So we've established a reloading book or two, single stage press and dies, and a shell holder.
Calipers. That was another one.
Shell holder. Caliper.
A budget.
Dial caliper. Or
Yep.
digital if you've got, But
I own both.
that's probably the one thing that I would recommend spending some decent money on, no matter what else you do. So
I have dial calipers, and when my batteries go dry, my dial calipers come right out and they keep working.
there you go. So, yeah, definitely. Okay, so we figured out how to clean our brass on the cheap. I mean, there's other ways to do it, reasonably inexpensive, but
Here's a good
no,
one.
Zeke, a good brain is not required.
There you
So we need a way to measure our powder. Beam scale, maybe. Is a scale required?
Nope.
No.
What else can you do?
Lee
Powder
Dipper.
measure.
Mm-hmm. What else can you do?
Make your own powder dippers if you want to.
Or buy Lee's. So, yeah. So a powder scale is not required. It's a good thing to have, but it's not necessarily required. I don't want to clean my podcast room. That must
That's
be my
gotta be one of
wife. That's got to be my wife. Let's find out who Facebook user is. It's probably my wife.
It's the only way she'll talk to me,
Nancy,
right?
behave, lady. She'll tell me where to go too. Yeah, I met Mike's wife back in Nashville. His two sons, and I'll tell you what, we went to Dick's Last Resort. Oh my God, that place is nuts, absolutely bonkers, insane. Did we have a good time? First thing you do is put hat on Mike's head, paper hat on Mike's head. It says, "I love Dick's."
What would yours say, Jim?
I don't remember, to tell you the truth. Probably some other stupid shit.
I'll have to find the pictures and post them.
Please do. I don't care. Nancy probably flipping me off.
It'd probably be easier to find the reloading room if I spelled it correctly. Yep, it was Nancy. Yes, my wife is the one that says I got to clean my podcast room. And then she tried to make a laughing smiley face with a wink. So, no, I don't want to clean it. I don't have time. Anyway, so yes, you can use Lee dippers or some other sort of volumetric measurement system instead of a scale.
That you can that gives you data to convert. Because
Yes.
you don't want to sit down and use a 2cc dipper and bullseye for a 223.
Right.
You use appropriate powder and make sure the
That's where the
volume,
reloading manual comes in. So if you're going to get the powder dippers,
they have a chart that tells you what each one dips.
Yep.
So just to be clear that you have to use that chart for the dipper.
Right.
As a reloading manual won't give you what it'll give you an approximate weight, but it won't give you a volume.
Correct.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys though that prefer to do it that way off of volume versus weight.
So the lead loaders come with a powder dipper.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the information, if you'll notice, it says it's got Alcan. This gives you an idea of how old this is. Alcan AL7, Hercules 2400, and DuPont IMR 4227 for the 30 carbine. And so it says use powder measure 65. You're talking 11.9 grams of the Alcan, 14.4 of the Hercules, and 13.8 for the IMR 4227. So it gives you an idea of how volume is
Relates to weight.
different compared to weight. So and part of that's because each powder is different. So
Boy, that is old. I'm not even calling up the Winchester 296.
anyway, so you can use that priming tool. Some single stages you can prime on the press. Otherwise, you want a hand priming tool. I recommend getting a hand priming tool. At least we're talking basics here, so you don't really need one of the fancy bench mounted ones. One of the nice little hand ones work well. Just don't buy the Hornady because it's crap.
So far, out of the ones I've seen, probably the Frankfurt Arsenal anymore is one of the best ones to go to
I agree.
because you can do depth with it.
But I agree because RCBS can have a problem with some shell holder combinations and the length of the priming arm, and they actually have different priming arms that you can call up if you're being a little short in seating your primers. And we just want to make sure that everybody seats their primers at least flush with the case head. Most would prefer to be about 2 to 3 thousandths below.
Personally, I prefer to seat to the bottom of the primer pocket, assuming the brass is in good shape.
But sometimes you measure the primer pocket and you measure their primer and you find out that there's a difference there.
Yep.
And the difference is on.
That's when I started checking the primer depth or primer pocket depth. Sorry, and if it's too much, I will simply get rid of the brass.
Or if it's too shallow, as I've measured some primers pockets that are say small rifle, 121, 120. And
they're all right.
And then primers that are measured at 123, 124.
You gotta have
So here's the basic Lee one. The newest one's actually pretty good to use. I'll be honest. They went back to more of a simplistic setup. It still uses their proprietary shell holders, so you need to consider into that. But it's a lot simpler to use in some of than a couple of their previous designs. So,
and if you look at a lot of the shell holders that are needed for primers, Lee is probably, covers about 2/3 of them.
Yeah.
So even on the expensive priming tools like the Primal Rights, it uses a Lee shell holder. So
that's funny.
Yeah. So that's a $600 priming tool.
And the shell holders are about $25 for a set.
Yeah.
That's funny. So
And no, we don't prefer military or NATO brass because you
I
have
beg to differ with you, sir.
well, that's your personal opinion. So
Agreed.
it's a lot
I-
harder to get a hold of those brass. So shush.
and when you sit down and look at it and it's been stretched out by machine guns and everything else, we do not prefer it. And plus the extra step of having to remove the crimp
Yep.
makes it harder for a beginning reloader.
Yep.
So
that's the basics. That's absolute bare minimum. Some sort of way to prime the case. Your single stage press with your dies, with your decapping die and your seating die, so you can knock the old primer out, and then you can put a bullet in it. Powder measuring device of some sort, so you can, after you put the primer in, you can put the powder in and then put the bullet in. And that's kind of your basic. Now we start talking a little bit more fancy. If we plan on reloading it a few times, especially rifle cartridges or anything with a shoulder, now you need to make sure that case is at minimum case length and not too long. So
just go out and buy a Gerard.
We're trying to save money.
oh, you think you're
yeah.
funny, do you? You think
Well-
you're funny there, mister?
Well,
Mr.
Lead Bullet
Moneybags.
Junkies, one of the biggest reloads we got, says, repeat after me. We do this to save money. Mind you, I could have gotten a lot of ammo for the cost of my equipment, but I like rolling my own.
And the nice thing about Gerard is it chamfers the case, it deburrs the case, it trims all at the same time. It just gives you everything.
So in
you
the
wanna
grand
do.
scheme of things, the Gerard trimmer actually is a good purchase.
Yes.
If
But
you're
it's not
only
a
doing
basic
one
tool.
cartridge. If you're only doing one cartridge, and that's all you're ever going to do.
I don't know
Now,
about that, but yeah,
once
okay.
if you get more serious and you start adding more stuff, then that's a whole different story. It can be a benefit, and maybe you have one for, you decide you get one for every cartridge you load, whatever. So, but like Paul was saying, so when you trim this down, it makes this really nasty and sharp. And so what happens if you don't clean that up? First off, you have burrs on the outside and burrs on the inside. Well, then you chamber that. Now you have burrs on the chamber of your rifle. That's not good.
You're also going to drive burrs into the walls of your bullet.
If you're lucky. If you're unlucky, the sharp edge catches your bullet and slices your bullet open and really makes it nasty. So you have to fix that somehow. Now, if you get the Gerard like Paul's talking about, as it's trimming, it's actually cleaning up the outside and cleaning up the inside and putting on a decent edge that's not going to try and slice your bullet apart.
Right.
So that's why that's important.
And the other thing that a lot of people don't understand is when you're that outside deburring, if you don't do that, that can some of those trimmers can roll the edge of the brass over and leave a large deposit that will get stuck in your chamber.
Or
cause high
your
pressure.
bullet seater.
Yeah.
And then your bullet doesn't seat properly. And all of a sudden, when you take your cartridge out of the shell holder and you tip it like this, the bullet falls out because when it shoved it down, it pressed that neck out. And now you don't have neck tension to hold the bullet in. So,
yeah.
So what other basic? So that's kind of the fancier end of the basic stuff. I mean, you can get the Lee trim. This Lee makes a trimming tool. They've actually got a couple of different options. Lee is, you'll hear us reference Lee with on the basic end because let's face it, Lee is kind of your entry level stuff.
Right.
I think a frequent guest of the show said it best. He's grateful for Lee because Lee gets a lot of people into reloading that it wouldn't normally, because Lee makes getting into reloading affordable, and then you get dragged down the rabbit hole kicking and screaming, and now you're spending stuff on other stuff. So
Wise man.
So
you'll have to listen to the shows to find out who said it, though.
Yeah, you'll find that you have a lathe type trimmer, okay, which means it's got a cutting edge with four, 3 or 4 flutes to cut the case mouth,
Like the Forester trimmer.
like a Forester, which has a pilot,
Wow.
and everybody else
Or
makes
Lyman,
them. Lyman,
or Studios.
you got all them. So, and then you have to sit there and hand crank each one, or you can attach a power drill to it.
Yep.
Then you have the Old Crow Gunworks type that fits on a power drill that measures
Little Crow.
Little Crow, excuse me.
Mr. Nelson, I think you drank too much Old Crow.
Yeah, I did. But I'm not in my room right now. I'm sitting here at my daughter's house, and I'm trying to remember all the stuff that I use. And the Little Crow has a 4 flute
End mill
in there, and it measures off the shoulder of the case like a Gerard does.
Yep.
So,
all right. So I'll answer Oder Sigurdsson, who's one of our favorites from halfway across the pond in Iceland. He says he wants to know. He says, think you need to explain what the basic equipment you have mentioned is meant to bring to you. Hitting a barn door at 20 yards or something smaller at greater distances. All right. So using Lee dies, a Lee hand trimmer, Lee powder dippers, and a Lee single stage press, I made a 308 load that at 100 yards, 5-shot group was 0.38 inches across. 5-shot group. The bullet itself is 0.308, gang. So the misnomer that you can't make quality rounds with cheap stuff or basic stuff is bullcrap. Now, sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you actually put the effort into it and make it work. Now, does it always work that way? No. Because if you don't have perfect brass, then that doesn't help. If you don't have good bullets, that doesn't help. So, I mean, there's other things that contribute to that. I had brand new brass. I had excellent bullets. So that was 2 of your weaknesses right there. And the rest of it I did by being consistent in my work. So, and sometimes lead dies are off, but I've also heard people have problems with our CBS and Hornady dies. So
in reloading, consistency is key.
Right. So
I have a Lee 308 sizing die that turns out perfect. I mean, 100% perfectly straight cases every time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. So so we wanted to clarify that, and thank you, Oder, for bringing that point up because I probably would have missed that. So, we're talking about kind of the basic stuff to get involved. So, do you need? It's nice to have. But do you need a neck turner, and do you need a concentricity gauge, and do you need a comparator? Do you need?
It depends. Depends on what kind of shooting. Depends on what kind of shooting you're going to do.
Exactly. If you're plinking, no. If you're bench rest shooting, yeah. If you're shooting a mile, yeah. If you're shooting 1,000 yards, yeah. If you're shooting competition, yeah. If you're shooting minute of deer, probably not. So, but the thing is to know what you're doing, as Oder just said. And the reason why is that you know what you're doing. Hence, going back to my previous comment, prior to reloading, you need to know what you were doing prior to reloading, read and learn. So
that's like, for example, my 577 Snyder here.
Yeah.
Using an RCBS press, Lee dyes, powder dipper for both the black powder. Well, no, I did use my IntelliDropper. No. Or did I hand press?
Well, IntelliDropper
the old fashioned.
Oh, no. I use the old fashioned
volumetric
using my scale on my Frankfurt IntelliDropper. Volumetrically putting the powder in the pan, the scale weighed out
to verify.
Using a lead dipper to filler, casting my own bullet seating on there. At 50 yards, I had 2 rounds within 2 inches of each other for a black powder cartridge. That's pretty.
A black powder cartridge with a barrel, it's probably not even close to pristine.
And well, this is actually an undersized bullet.
That's even more amazing than the fact that it's undersized.
Yeah, this is a .577. The bores are actually .600.
You're using that to fire from the brass.
So I use these to fire from the brass. But other than that, you can get into loading for this cartridge heck of a lot cheaper than if you can find production ammo.
Right.
It's damn near impossible, but that's the cool thing about Lee.
Yes.
What do bench rest shooters use to measure their powder? Do they use a scale?
They will use a scale to set their powder measure. Okay. Most of them are using a Harrell's powder measure, which is a dispenser, and it's a Culver type powder measure, and it uses clicks. In other words, it's so finely machined that it has individual clicks, and they can actually count the clicks to go with their charges that they're going to throw.
Is that still? It's still volumetric, though, right?
It's volumetric, yes, but it's very repeatable and accurate. And because they reload in the open. In other words, they're out in the open when they reload. They're not reloading in a room. They're going to take their 10 cases that they have, and they're going to sit down and load 10 cases, shoot those, come back in, load the 10 cases again, and go shoot them again 3 or 4 times in a day.
So scales are cool. Scales are neat. Electric scales, if they're cheap, they're cheap.
Don't use them.
Now, Travis got lucky and after test and found one on Amazon that actually worked, but I don't think you can even get that one anymore. And there's no guarantee that yours will work just as well as his.
They have to be graduated in grain increments for us too, not grams.
Yeah. Well, that's not true. If you feel like doing math.
You're right.
Grams are usable. I can go to Lapua and I can get their powders and Vivitori and
convert grams to grains. I'm wrong.
Yeah, but they even give me loads in grams. So I mean, they tell me to be, 4.2 grams or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they're European.
Convert to grains.
Right.
So, and they're hoity-toity. So,
but
yeah, I mean, you can use grams if you get, say, Lapua's data, or you convert your grains to grams. So, I mean, it's possible. Is it easier? No. Find one that works in grains, because most of your reloading data is in grains.
And if you're going to buy an electronic scale, spend money.
Yep.
Spend money. Don't look at these little 25, 35, even $100 scales. I don't trust because of the software they use in them.
Don't buy this.
Work right.
Hornady, it's okay, but they tend to float. And so what I mean by float is
drift.
Yeah, drift. So I could be using a known quantity, dispensing a known volume of or grains of powder, weight of powder, and it in 3 successive charges, or even the same charge 3 times, it will not read it the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your problem with your cheaper digital scales. So, always have a balance beam scale to double check it. This is the one thing I'm going to recommend not getting a Lee.
We have a newcomer's question on the screen, if you don't mind.
Lee scales work great once you learn how to use them. But the problem is learning how to use it because it's a royal pain in the ass.
And Craig MZ has got the right word there.
Well, yeah, I mean, technically, even with a balance, you should have
check weights. Yes. Yes, definitely.
So, Eric Smith, is the Lee Deluxe powder measure any good for reloading 223? Once you learn
I've
how to
had
use
good
it's
luck
okay.
with one.
Yeah. Now, LBJ, Lead Bullet Junkie, said Lee Auto Drum is better because of the polyblade that pushes the powder out of the way instead of trying to cut it and jam it.
They have a new one they came out with recently. It's a little more expensive.
The metal one? Yeah.
Yeah, their new metal one, which I haven't had a chance to get my hands on it yet to see how it is. I got a buddy that's going to be ordering it soon, so I'm interested to see how it works.
I have a Lee drum, okay? It's because it's got a polymer cutting edge on it. It doesn't cut the grains of powder, and it's just it throws a decent charge. It's a little sticky. It's not smooth like Harrell's, but you're looking at $35 or $40 versus $300 for Harrell's.
Do not ever get the disc kit from Lee. The disc powder dispenser, do not get unless you like wasting powder.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
I'll tell you what. If you think that it's worth the savings, take an entire pound of powder, dump it out wherever you're going to mount that thing. Just dump it out on the ground around your bench and whatever else. Cry over the $30 you just wasted on the powder and go spend that and then go buy a better powder dispenser, because the Lee Auto, the Auto Disc throws powder everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Lee perfect powder measure that I load 30-06 with.
Dog.
And I'll tell you what, for stick powder, it's one of the smoothest powder measures I use.
Yeah, the Auto Drum.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like Paul, LBJ said and Paul said, it's the poly because it doesn't chop the powder.
Right.
Yeah. If you don't mind being plus or minus a tenth or so, I mean, if they work perfectly fine.
I don't think you're gonna. Yeah. They're not bad. But you just got to learn how to tune it. So.
So Eric did get the new. So the deluxe is the new metal framed one.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
So I'm in for $65. It is a little more, but you're getting a metal drum portion, which should work better than the plastic. So it looks
I wonder
pretty
how that
well.
works on ball powder.
I don't know. Jake's got one on order, so we'll see.
I have problems with Lee's with ball powders.
I agree.
Okay. I mean, I have an RCBS. I have a Harrell's. I have a Lee. I have Dillon's. I have all kinds of. I have CNH Mark IVs. I mean, I got all kinds of powder measures that I can use, and ball powders. And Jim will say this, I'll bet you he can sit down and throw, with his RCBS once it's locked down and cleanly throw within a tenth of a grain up or down on his RCBS. And
agreed. I've been doing it for years,
Mhm.
both with flake powder and with the stick powder.
But I find that my Herald is very accurate. But then again, I can sit down and for speed, I can sit down with my Mark III auto trickler and sit down and say, "Here, it's done."
Well,
So,
the other thing too, Paul, like Oder Sigurdsson said earlier, that we have a lot of knowledge right here amongst the four sets of hosts. Well, the thing is too, something I don't talk about too much is when I reload rifle ammo for my bolt gun, I generally don't reload it. I generally hand load it.
right.
So what I'm saying is, I might measure 2/10 low, 2/10 shy, I should say, and then I trickle right up to the grain weight I want.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and it's just how we load and what how we're looking to load is what we're talking about here, and this is our starting.
That's easy to forget
I mean,
for
we're
us.
just talking about equipment right here, but the idea is all this as kind of a counter to Oder's comment. Excuse me, just a second.
You want his last one, Mike? I got it right here on screen.
No, I was clearing my throat. To kind of counter Oder's point, most of the stuff we've talked about is going to have good instructions with it. That is, especially the least stuff that is targeted towards the newbie that doesn't know shit. So your level of knowledge isn't going to make a difference, especially like the lead loader. The lead loader, like I was talking about, goes into intense, it goes into detail on how to do this for somebody that has no freaking clue. Your trimmers are going to have instructions. The auto prime has, or the handheld primer has instructions. Your dies have instructions. All of this stuff has instructions to help the new reloader. And your manuals have your instructions on what your process is and what you do first, what you do second, when you do third, once you do fourth, once you do fifth, that type of thing. I mean, obviously, and ultimately, it's better if you can get a mentor. You can get somebody involved. You can watch a video on somebody that just sits down and walks you through it. You can pause the video, go on to your next step, play the video again. And those are out there. But worst case scenario, most of the equipment that's out there comes with instructions that are designed for somebody that doesn't know anything about reloading, and it's to teach you how to reload. Now, you may not have the confidence to do it, and I know people that won't ever reload because they're afraid of what they're going to do. So that's kind of one of those things you're never going to change. But regardless of our knowledge here, the stuff we're talking about is designed for entry level basics reloading, and it's gonna work regardless of your knowledge because it's designed that way.
Mike, I hate to do this. I've got to go play pumpkin.
Okay.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Night, Jim.
Pumpkin or Sleeping Beauty? Because
Pumpkin Cinderella.
Yeah, because I was just going to tell you, if you're trying to get beauty rest, I wouldn't bother wasting your time. Love you, Jim.
I'm out.
And here's a big kiss. Mwah!
All right, Nick, what's that from?
Gosh.
Come on.
Is that Animal House?
No, the dating game.
Oh, see, that's way before my time. So,
yeah, I knew there was no way he'd done that.
That's like, for instance, Mike, this right here.
Yes.
Lyman 55.
Yep.
Bought it at an auction. No manual.
Yeah.
Great thing about it, we have YouTube for that.
Right. Yeah, I mean
So-
that's the thing. If you're buying it new, it's all going to come with instructions. If it's not, then
Indeed.
some of it you'll find instructions for, some of it you won't. I mean, depending on how old it is. That Lyman 55 is pretty old. You're not going to find instructions. But
Mhm.
thank God for YouTube and all that. So
Lead Bullet Junkie has got 6 pounds of 4320. I hope he keeps that. He's got a 22-250 for it because that is about the ideal powder for that. I've never could get it shooting 308, but just a thing he's talking about. So
so for newbies, that is not good info. In general, you are still looking at things from your perspective. Reading a manual about something you know is simply not necessarily for a beginner.
I, you know, I got to sit down and say, I look at the Lee kit, okay, that you got, that you knocked the primer out and everything else, and I go look at Ellie Wilson for a straight line seating die, and it's pretty much the same thing, and as the Lee kit, yeah, I can work out a, a, a sizing die uh, that I from anybody and just have it reamed out the right way and to neck size. And so I'm doing a professional, a bench rest reloading on one end with a Wilson dies, a neck die, and a inline seating die, and then I turn around with the Lee, and I'm sitting there doing the same thing. So 6 of one, half dozen the other, right? You get where I'm going with that?
Yep.
Professional to from beginner to professional using just about the same type of equipment, but higher end. So as we look at Odin is looking there, Oder's looking there, and a beginner has to look at it and say, make a choice of equipment that, and I'm going to tell you personal experience, if you want to reload, make a choice of equipment, buy good equipment that's going to let so you only cry once about what you're going to spend on it.
Yep. So
And that's what I've been doing. I've had a couple buddies that I know that have wanting to get into reloading, and I've been putting a Word doc together with what I would recommend for them to get going in it. Your press, your trimmer. And that's the great thing about it. I know you, Paul, you've probably done it, and Mike, you've probably done it as well for other people. You put a list together, what you would recommend for a good starting setup.
Well,
I'm not
looking at a starting setup. I'm saying buy a setup that is going to last you years.
I mean, just something to get them cover everything they would need to do
for basic reloading.
Reloading. That's like, for instance, my buddy that's getting into it, he's going to be loading 223, 308. I think maybe a little bit of 9, but it's basically 223 and 308. I'm like, okay.
So if he's going to reload 2 cartridges and you're going to sit down and you're going to tell him to buy a trimmer, are you going to sit down and tell him to buy a lathe type trimmer, a little crow, or are you going to sit down and say go all the way and buy a Gerard?
I put all those options out there for him. That was the cool thing about it. Nice thing with Titan reloading. There's all these websites. I'm like, here, go here. Here's your options you can choose from. These are a little more expensive, but you have more budgeted here.
Yeah.
And that's the thing you can.
And you can sit down though and say, okay, this does all of this. You have to do these 2 steps with this, or 3 steps or whatever.
Yep.
And you're going to sit down and say, if I bought a Power RCBS trimmer, lathe type trimmer, I'm going to be getting set back what $400?
$400 easy.
400. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So another $150 I'm going to spend on Gerard.
Yeah.
If somebody's going to contemplate getting into reloading, I would really suggest they try to hook up with somebody that can mentor them.
Mhm.
Let them try
Oh
it
yeah, absolutely.
on their equipment,
And
because
that's what I did with Jake there, my buddy.
the worst thing is somebody to buy all this equipment, start doing it, and say, you know what, I don't have time for this. And then they're all just, they lose.
And that's why I tell all my friends.
They don't. I don't care. You can go around and sell all your reloading equipment for basically what you put into it.
True.
Okay, so you're not going to. If they're smart, they're not going to lose any money at it unless they're really pissed off at it.
League, you might lose a little bit just because of the quality of it.
But I tell all my buddies, if you want to learn how to reload, just call me. You can come over, load all my equipment. If I'm feeling generous, I might give you a few primers and some powders and some bullets. But that's if I'm feeling generous. But if you can supply your own brass, your own primers, your own powders, your own projectiles, you can come over and I can teach you everything you want to know to see if you like it. Because it's as we say, it is an investment.
It's time.
The big thing. And I always tell everybody at my gun shop I work at, because I hand out a ton of the reloading podcast cards. I tell them your most expensive round you will ever reload is that very first round.
Yep. Because you got to buy all the equipment first.
Exactly. You have all that cost up front.
So Troy Easter UE in Facebook said, that's a comment that's up. Took a year reloading of reading and rereading and made my first 25 rounds of 6mm Remington. I think the disconnect between Oder and I is Oder's thinking that I'm trying, and maybe I am, but it's not easy.
Mm-mm.
So we're talking about the equipment, and I'm talking about the instructions. But I guess I kind of didn't really get the point across that it's not just something that you can. That's really easy, and maybe somebody has confidence and goes through and reads and jumps right in.
Mm-hmm.
My personal opinion: you should never fire your first round that you reload. In fact, my recommendation for somebody, especially if they don't have a mentor and they're using videos and instructions and stuff. Load 100, load 20 rounds, pull it, and then reload it. Leave the primers in because you don't want to try it. You don't want to have somebody pop a primer and scare themselves and then put all their stuff away. And Oder, no, I don't think you're being an arse. You have a valid point. So.
Well, and especially like Mike with Oder being in, I believe it's Iceland, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Quote me. Especially him in Iceland. You have everybody down under in Australia. They don't have it as easy as us, where you can just go to the store and buy a box of ammo.
Right.
Especially Australia. We talked to the guys at Roll Sizer. What do they say? 80% of people that shoot guns in Australia load.
Yeah, because you have to.
Because you have to.
Especially pistol, because you can't buy pistol ammo anymore.
So it's something they've grown up, especially if they're mid-30s, 40s. They've grown up thinking, okay, I'm going to have to depend on producing my own ammo to let my hobby survive.
And they said like 1% of the U.S. shooter reload.
So I can see where that disconnect kind of can be.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no. So Oder, I'm sorry if you thought that that we were trying to say it's easy. We're not. We're trying to focus more on the equipment itself than the process tonight. That's the disconnect. Is tonight supposed to be literally about the equipment itself, not how you use it. How you use it, we're going to get to later. Right now, right tonight, it's talking about the equipment, what options and what possibilities for basic reloading. So, and that's kind of the difference.
And I'll tell you what, the satisfaction when you reload your first 50 rounds and you go shoot those first 50 rounds and it's successful, the gun don't blow up and you get fairly detected, I'll tell you, it's a really good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the 577 Snyder, who knows the last time my gun was fired? Could have been 200 years ago. I love taking an old gun that hasn't been shot in almost 200 years and bringing it back to life. Now, mind you, if it's especially a new cartridge, like for instance, my Snyder, I didn't shoot it for a year because I had to get brass, bullet molds, the dies themselves.
Research.
I spent time and time and time research. I've been loading for a long time, but especially a gun like this, I wait almost a year. And if you watch the short, my first shot, my eyes were closed. I'll say it flat out. But when it's black powder, especially a black powder metallic cartridge, where it's gonna be a compressed load, a whole different ball game right there.
Right.
So I'll even feel I say I was a little nervous, and you are, especially on old Milsurp, because you have so much money invested in that firearm. They don't make parts for them anymore.
No. Yeah, you don't want to blow that sucker up.
I have to laugh because I'm sitting there thinking back to when I started reloading, and I was reloading rifle first, and I didn't think anything of it. Okay, but hand loading or reloading 357 Magnums and sitting there in the days, Winchester would publish a load, and it was 296, and they would give you WW 296. Here's the load. It was, 14 or 15 and a half grains of 296, 158 grain bullet. And next to it said, do not reduce. Okay. Use load exactly as shown. You sit down and you look at it and you go, shooting rifle was okay. I'm going to start here and I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to shoot a handgun, and it's a 357, and I'm going to load it with this much. And they said, do not reduce. Didn't go up any higher either. That was the maximum load. Yep. One load. Okay, yeah, I was a little scared pulling trigger on that 357 for the first time. Okay.
I recommend people watch this video and read the comments because they're having some great conversations in the comment section. I put one up on the screen. Idaho Rogers USMC. I've seen guys get talked into buying a Dilling, then 650, now 750. Then the mentor confused the process so much the new reloader gave it up. Yeah. I mean, from the mentoring standpoint, if you're going to be a mentor, don't be a dumbass. And, you get people that give all of the, you need to get all Dylan, or you need to get all this, or you need to get all that, or this is what you need to buy. No.
Well,
like what Nick said, you give them a list of options and say, okay, so this is the benefits of this, and this is the benefits of this, and this is the benefits of this, and let them choose.
Right. But I mean, even in Nick's goes, okay, Nick, the guy is a IDPA shooter. Okay. He shoots 3 matches, a month. Are you going to tell him not to buy a Dylan?
It's what you can afford. That's why I look at it. It's like,
if he shoots 9 and 223, I'm going to tell him to go buy bulk on, I'm going to go tell him to buy bulk, because right now he's going to be able to buy bulk cheaper than he's going to be able to handle.
Well, no doubt about it.
I'm just saying, as a reloader,
I get the idea behind the example.
Yeah.
Now, if he's shooting a PRS match, that's a different ballgame.
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell him to buy
shooting, if he's shooting 3-gun or something like that. Yeah, I mean the terminology and everything.
Right. Yeah, I always recommend a good single stage press, probably RCBS rock checker, because no matter what direction they go, even if they go the RCBS or big, the Dillon or bigger, they're always going to use that single stage rock checker for something.
Well, I've been experimenting with a Dillon 550 to sit down to say, as a person, to hand load and to to start off with, could it be done? Is it feasible? And I see it as
absolutely
as a feasible way of doing it, because you can put one case in there, turn it, and go all the way around with one case, And even if you wanted to put one die in at a time, you could do it the same way. They have the 550 basic where you can sit down and have to measure each charge and dump it in on top of the handle. I mean, I see a way for that for a beginning loader to do it.
Yeah,
And,
depending on what they're doing. Now,
right.
yeah, like your competition shooter, absolutely.
Right.
Oh, no doubt.
Get a 550.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim and I, before you guys came on the show, Jim and I used to debate this because Jim is absolutely dyed on the wool, single stage, no matter what. And I am not. I've talked to Jim about that a few times, about using the 550 exactly like Paul was just saying. It's a manual indexing, so that means you have to turn it. So I'll show you what I mean. So right here, damn darkness. Excuse me for a second. Okay. So right here, what manual indexing means is I have to move this lever to rotate my brass cartridge around.
So where that little spring is over there, he's got to slide one piece of brass in, operate the handle, come back up.
Oop, that's 30-30 brass.
Yep. And work it around each time he raises the handle. He moves to a new station. So.
Damn it, the one time I needed 2-3. Ha, there it is. Okay, so for this.
Go to full screen, Mike.
Hang on a second here.
Can you do that, Nick?
There you go.
So this is why a 550 would work, because you can load your single piece of brass, and now I have to manually turn it to my next. I've got 3 dies up here. I've got my decapping die, my powder die, and then my seating and crimping die. I could put a powder cop in here if I wanted, because there's 4 stations and I'm not using that one right now. So I don't have to have those dies in there. As you can see, there's an empty hole. So what Paul was saying is I can literally just have this die in here,
right,
and not that one and not that one. So I can go through and I can deprime all my brass. Now, here's where the primer is actually seated. See how the primer pops up there?
Yep.
I'm moving the handle forward. I don't have to do that. I can actually bring that down. I'm not going to put that up because it'll throw powder. But
no, it won't.
Yeah, it will. If I run that up in there, it'll throw powder.
Oh, you had a low. Okay.
Yeah. Now it's on the blank. So, but this is my cycle. The cycle is one full movement of the handle. So I've got it all the way down, and now I'm going to bring it all the way back up. The ram comes all the way back down,
and then forward.
The case doesn't move. So right. I don't have to go forward. I do that out of habit because I'm used to priming every case. So, right. But I don't have to do that. I can literally just do this and do that, and then I can turn it. It looks like I got to adjust the primer. So I can turn it, and then when I'm done, it kicks out the brass. So, yep. That's a dummy round, so it doesn't matter, and it can stay down there. So you could get a Dillon 550, no matter what you're loading.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, you can't, because you can't load anything bigger. Can you load 30-06?
Sure.
Okay, you just can't load anything bigger.
Yeah, you can. 338. Really? I can reload 338 on a Dillon 550.
Oh, okay. So I stand corrected, or in this case, I sit corrected. Anyway.
Yeah.
There's your dad joke for the day. So.
That's like for my buddy that's getting into it. He was telling me he's gonna be doing 223 and 308 to start. But he's also got he's got 8mm Mauser, he's got 30 carbine, So I look at it, he's potentially going to get into those. So I think I gave him the option of the lead 4-hole turret for more of the value load. I gave him, I think, the Lyman All American 8 and the Redding T7. And I even gave him the Dillon 550. Told him, I don't run Dillon. I don't have the need for a Dillon. But if you want to go there, you can. So and I think I gave like 3 or 4 options for each thing. And so.
Yeah, I just look at people and find out what they're doing and give them recommendations as far as using the equipment to the fullest that they're gonna be able to use it. Okay. I'm not going to sit down and tell somebody to buy a single stage press knowing that they're shooting 200 rounds a week.
Right. Well,
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's cruel, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially when you know, and I guess if, so Craig Z said, I think you have to get a feel for who you are mentoring as well. If
Yeah.
you feel they're going to stick with it and not get frustrated, then push for better equipment. Yes and no. You know, I guess that's where letting them play with your stuff comes in, if you can. Now, like, if I'm going to mentor Oder, is that possible? No.
Sure it is. You can mentor him online.
Right, but he can't physically touch my equipment.
right.
No, he can't, but you can go through the steps it takes to go through it.
Yes, so I can
Individually,
mentor him. I just
right.
can't let him use my. He can't use my equipment.
Right. It's not, you know.
Well, of course, he's wants to buy a plane ticket and come on over. Then feel free.
Right.
But Idaho Rogers said I'd rather recommend a T7. So a T7 is a turret press. So what a turret press is like a single stage. It has one shell holder. Where the one I just showed you will hold up to 4 cases at a time, and some presses is 5, some is 6, some is 7,
10.
some are 10. A turret press still will only hold one piece of brass, but what it has is like the 550. It has multiple stations. You can put multiple dies, but instead of rotating the brass, you rotate the dies. So what you can do with your turret press is you can actually go through and you can deprime like 100 cases, and then you rotate your turret, and then you can size 100 cases if you have a university scrapper, or once you prime your brass or whatever, then you can put it in there and you can rotate your turret again, and then you can seat your bullets, and then you can rotate it again and crimp the bullets if you want. That's kind of the advantage of that versus the 550. So be it. It's kind of 6-1, half dozen the other. The advantage of the 550 over the T7 is once I get used to the 550, my production capabilities are quite a bit.
You're operating four stations with each pull of the handle. So you've completed a round with each pull of the handle.
Right. So I mean, that's kind of that's the basic of what you're recommending and who you're recommending equipment to.
And I forget the basic 550. It doesn't come with the powder drop, does it?
Nope.
Okay, so there again, you're only talking about what, $200 more for a 550 than a rock chucker.
Yeah.
About what? Yeah, so that's not bad.
Yeah. So
I see your point on that.
And Idaho Rogers, you're saying there's more moving parts? No.
Not really.
Not in a 550. In a 550, you got one moving part, really, just to move it,
and the shell plate,
and the shell plate, and which you still have to move the tool heads over in a T7 or any turret press. So I don't know. I'm just I just look at it and say,
I get his point, but I
yeah,
don't think the point's really.
I don't think it's a large point to make, is what I'm saying. I think it's very minor as far as parts go. And plus, priming is simple on both of them. So
Well, I mean, the BL 550
yeah,
does not come with the priming system, and it doesn't
that's
come with
right.
the automatic powder measure.
Right.
So if you're gonna to counteract the turret argument, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
And it will also load up to 460 Weatherby.
Yeah.
So
338 Lapua 460. So
yeah.
you know, large cartridges.
Yeah. See, I didn't realize the 550 would go 338 Lapua and 416 Risby and 460 Weatherby. So I mean, the 550 you can really get serious. The standard 550C comes with the powder measure, the priming system, and then you can get bullet feeder. You can get case feeder for it. You can get all sorts of stuff for it to make it go faster. So, whereas the standard BL 550 is literally just basically. Get back to this screen so I can show you. So the big fifth, the basic, the BL 550 doesn't have this, and it doesn't have the
powder dispenser.
Powder dispenser, which you can now see. So it doesn't have all of this, and it doesn't have all of this. It's just the main RAM and everything here, the shell holder, or the tool holder, the shell holder setup. So it goes back to what the reloader is going to be doing on what's practical for them. If they're going to be reloading rifle cartridges only, and they're not going to be doing a lot of shooting, then maybe a turret press is a better option.
Correct.
But
how many rifle shooters are out there that don't shoot handguns?
Probably 25 to 35%.
Yeah, but we don't shoot much.
So now, how many are out there that would never load handgun? 45% of your rifle shooters, because a lot of them are deer hunters that when they shoot, you're talking deer, maybe elk, and that's about it. But they want good loads and they don't want to spend the ammo, or they're daddy loaded or their grandpa loaded, and that's where they learned it from. So they've been doing it with that. So in that case, a turret would be better. So. So the T7 has a hand primer too. So on press primer you can do too. Yeah. So I mean if you're talking the BL 550 versus the T7, Now if you're talking the 550C versus the T7, Idaho Rogers has got a good point. Because the priming system is interesting to learn. The powder system is interesting to learn. So, but if you get the BL 550, you can add the powder dispenser. You can add the priming system later if you decide to. Whereas the T7, you can add the priming system, but you still aren't priming on the press, or you still aren't putting powder on the press. And
I guess you could put a powder dispenser on the press.
Yeah, you could.
But
you could put on on one of the
on one of the holes. But I'm just sitting there saying,
why?
Why? Because if I can process one cartridge with one pull of the handle complete on a 550, I can't do that on a T7. I can't do it in any turret. Because I can't do 4 operations at the same time on a T7, where I can do that on a 550.
Yeah. So, it's one of those, what are they going to be doing?
Right.
Is the big determining factor on whether you go, and not necessarily just a T7. I mean, any sort of turret press.
Well, any
Um,
press whatsoever. You pick
right.
a press out, and
Based off what you're planning on doing.
Right.
Now, your plans may change. So the T7 still has advantages. Um, honestly, you're going to get more consistency out of your T7 than you will out of your 550 in its base setups. In its base setups,
Okay.
you can add things to the 550 to be comparable. I don't really know personally if you'll ever get quite the same, but
I know you can.
okay.
So, yeah.
Like I said, I
Yeah.
personally,
Mm-hmm. You have to make the move towards it, but there we go.
so I think we've kind of beat that with a stick for now. Zeke wants to know off the rails questions, but should I be nailing 357 SIG brass? I mean, technically, you should be nailing all your brass, but
No,
pistol brass is kind of hard.
Don't anneal 357 SIG brass. No.
So, yeah, I mean,
No.
pistol brass is hard to anneal because it's so short. So,
yeah, you're not going to anneal 357 SIG brass. You're not going to anneal. I know one guy that annealed 32 long brass. Okay.
mhm.
All right. And that's just because he was an Olympic shooter. Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
So, Oder, thank you for your input and communications with us, because we value everything that all of our paid.
Yeah, I mean, this is a perfect example of why we have people when we record this. So I can't really sum it up any better than that. That Oder's conversation back and forth, along with everybody else's, is exactly why we have people in the chat and why we would love to have more people in the chat. So. Paul, you want to answer Star Liquid's question?
Straight to a 750, because it's very difficult for a person to learn on a auto indexing press, and they get confused to start loading on an auto indexing press. If you're going to put one bullet in at a time, one piece of brass at a time, and work the handle 5 times to get to load one bullet, fine. People, beginners, anybody, even people like the Travis and myself, we sit down and say, oh yeah, we can just go ahead and do it. And the time it takes to set up to run a press that, and I mean set up from start, putting the dies in, getting everything adjusted, getting the powder measure checked, everything, you begin to spend a lot of time, and you don't want to tear the press down. And beginners have a tendency to want to, everybody has a tendency to want to tear the press down, change up calibers. So I don't recommend it for a beginner. It's just too difficult to teach somebody on.
It can be done, but so could building a bridge to Hawaii. Was it a very easy and worthwhile endeavor? No.
And at the cost of a 750 now, and I wanted to reload just one cartridge, I'd buy a 1050 or 1100 and go that way.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to do it like that,
yeah.
So, wow, that's 2 hours, gang.
We got a new person here, Bama Dad.
Yep, it's the first time on the chat. Welcome. Sorry, we don't have any cool sounds like the Godfather does on Sirius XM Speedway, but welcome.
Mm-hmm. He's reloading 223 and 9mm. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. And show recommendation: give each panel expert a budget of $500 for a mythical new reloader setup.
I like that idea. Let's do that for next week, eh?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
What are we the expert a budget for?
Yeah, you get $500 and you gotta buy it.
A setup for a new reloader.
Yeah.
The check in the mail? No. All righty, that's good.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
So I got homework. I might be able to show. I'll be out of town next week, so.
Yep.
Caliber conversions and time involved in changing them on a 1100.
Paul didn't pay attention to your comment.
Yeah. He did.
Dang it, loud.
You got to listen. I said if I was going to do it, one caliber on 1100. One. That's it. I'm not changing anything. One. It's set up. I got an RL 1000 at my place. I don't use it anymore because I can't get parts for it, but it's set up for one caliber.
Oh, I think never mind. I take that back, Paul Loud. I believe that he was answering where'd it go? I believe he was answering Ed's question. Yeah, what's the difference between a 750 and a 1050?
A lot.
So, yeah. 1050, 1100 is more of a high volume. So,
right. But the difference, the main difference is a 750, you have to have an upstroke to prime. Okay. On an 1100 or 1050, everything is done on the downstroke. Everything. You seat the bullet. You put a primer in. You swage the primer pocket. It's all done on the downstroke. There is nothing that is happening up in the upstroke other than moving the cases around. That's it. So.
And a 550 is what, a 4-station?
Mm-hmm.
4-station.
And a 750 is a 5 station?
5-station, okay. And a 1050 is a 7-station.
Okay.
So now he's saying that 223 for Obama Dad has been a pain in the ass.
Really?
I want to know what's going on. That's the interesting.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what's
going on. What press is he using?
T7.
T7. Really?
Yeah. It shouldn't be that hard. Well, that's what he's running now. He was running a 750. But I'm trying to figure out what. A basic reloader or beginner.
So I'm wondering if he stuck a case or two.
Probably.
That would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
He might, depending on what lube he's using. Bama Dad, if you're on Facebook, hit one of us up a private message.
Or go to Discord.
Yeah, otherwise we're on MeWe, Discord. If you want to get on Discord, send us an email at reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Idaho, I posted a question. Idaho, does the $500 include components? What cartridge are they loading for? And what purpose are they loading for? So we need to know that information before we can accurately do this competition. So no components, pick a random cartridge like 308. All right, so it's 308. No components required.
Okay.
And let's see if he comes up with a use. I'm going to guess deer hunting, but we'll see what he says.
This is for beginning reloader?
Beginning reload. If you have $500 to spend on everything.
You try to get as much as you can.
Yeah.
No components required. So no bullets, brass, primers. 308 multi-purpose. So hunting and target.
Okay. All right. That'd be fun.
Yeah. I got some thinking to do while editing videos here later in the week. Yay!
Oh, I don't think that.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
All right, so that will be next week's show. I'm posting this in the show chat. So that's next week's show, gang. We will all of us have $500 to spend. We will make a shopping list and we will discuss why. What and why. So, yeah, $750 now that it's got the same priming system as a $550. I could see there'd be an issue with that because it's pain in the ass. Case feeding.
That's incomplete handle movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
yeah.
you got to push the handle forward on it. Kicks the case in.
Yep.
Okay. So if you're not pushing the handle, and that's where you could get your primer messed up at the same time.
Does the 500 include dies, or we got to buy dies?
Dies are included.
Yeah.
The only thing not included in this $500: bullets, brass, primers, and powder.
What if it's like a drill you already have laying around the house?
All right, drill. Yeah, that most people have a drill of some sort laying around the house.
Okay.
So
I'm just trying to think ahead of time.
all right. So Paul Loud just said that's easy. Go to Paul Nelson's house while he's away and acquire his equipment and components. $500 to rent a U-Haul truck and drive to Paul's. Yes, I'm done.
I'll join you on that one.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh man.
US Canadian or pesos.
$500 US, Canadian, or pesos. US, you schmuck. That was Spudman 76 that wanted to know. Come on, just because you're Canadian. Dang it. Quick shout out to the 3 listeners that stopped in on Monday night and said hi and talked. We talked for a little bit, so we'll have Ken on to discuss his experience at Vortex with the reloading class. We'll have him on in a couple weeks. So I don't care if you pay with Bitcoin, Paul Loud. If you have it, go ahead and use it. Have fun. Bama Dad, that is reloading podcast at gmail.com. And I'll type it in the chat if it'll let me. My computer sometimes says, no, I don't want to work. Problem is, it's a 2014 Apple Mac Mini, and I kind of make it do more than it really should. So, I guess the brand new Mac Minis are only $500, so I think I'm going to save up for one of those because they're supposed to be amazing. And I've kind of gotten used to using the Mac for podcasting, at least. I still do everything else in Windows, but as far as for the podcast itself, the Mac seems to be a little more stable. So I'm sure Matt from Geeks, Gadgets, and Gun is doing backflips right now going, ha ha, he likes Apple. So anyway. Oh, he said cases were hanging at the top and not dropping down. Graphite. Whenever you have something that sticks that shouldn't stick in reloading, use powdered graphite. It works great. And
it doesn't take a lot.
It doesn't take a lot, and it doesn't and it lasts for a long time. Yeah. So
probably one in 10 cases would do the trick.
Yep. So if you don't have powdered graphite, you can get the spray graphite and let it dry. But it really coats everything, so it's not as close of an application. What I do is a trick that I picked up back in the old Pinewood Derby days. You get a little bit of powdered graphite, you squirt it onto a Q-tip, and then you rub the Q-tip on what you want to graphite. Works great. So,
yeah.
Anyway, anybody else have any shout-outs?
Nope. We're good.
Hearing none.
I would like to thank all the people that would let us do interviews at SHOT Show. That worked out really nice. So
Yes.
Will and the people at Forrester and RCBS and
Oh yeah, and also everybody stay tuned. I'm working on the details on that discount for the loaddata.com.
Okay.
I sent the lady an email, just waiting to hear back from her. Once I get the go ahead, I will throw her email out there and pull $10 off. So,
Which is a good deal, guys.
yeah,
Surrender, yeah.
I'm definitely doing it. I'm definitely doing it for that price.
Yeah, I will too.
Mm-hmm.
Because the nice thing about it, you get all the access onto the website, plus once you pay the shipping, they send you a binder with all the information. Which
Sharon does a putz. Make sure you check the chat and you'll find out why. The show chat, or the show messenger, I should say. Oh, Paul Loud's actually giving some a shout out to Chris Sharp for asking Forrester. Bama Dad, no, the primer making tool isn't out yet. It will be as soon as it's out. I will actually have one in my fat hands because I already told Mr. Nixon that I need to get my hands on one of the first ones. So,
and I told him at show, I'm like, if you want us to test it and just destroy it, you know who to send it to.
Yep,
because we will do that.
Yes, you will. So, anyway, no, Sharenda says first thing I would need to buy is a 308. Money is gone now. I said it's not for you. So that's why I call her. Anyway.
Please.
Right?
Yeah. Save me from them.
Right? Mm-hmm.
All right. I think we got to kick it. It's been
2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah, we've been doing this a long time.
Good show.
Good show.
Yes.
So
I want to take time to thank the gang over at Primary Arms. Make sure you swing over there. Remember, they do carry suppressors and everything. So full firearms, firearm parts, optics is their big claim to fame. Free shipping on all Primary Arms optics right now. So if you order a Primary Arms optic, there you go. Swing over to Jake and Ryan over at Patriot Patch Company, patriotpatch.co. And I can't find the patch, so here's some sticker. This is the current month sticker, Be Abominable. It's got the Yeti with a battle axe, a carbine with a... I can't tell if that's an EOTech or if that's supposed to be so like an EOTech or just like a regular, like the UH-1 from Vortex. And then he's got the hell is that, a Law? Slung over his back? I don't know. I haven't kept up on the rocket-fired goodies from the military lately. So anyway. Swing over there, patriotpatch.co. Check them out. All sorts of cool stuff. Also, thank you to the two new Patreons that signed up over last week. Awesome. We thank you greatly for the support. Like I said, if you want to be a Patriot Patch Company Patch of the Month member, you can do it through them directly, or you can hit up our Patreon link, which is attached to every show notes. And you can find it at Firearms Radio. You just search firearmsradio.net. Where'd it go? Anyway. Firearmsradio.net, and then you choose the drop down to Reloading Podcast. Wow, I think I put more vodka in that tea than I thought. Anyway.
Yeah, and guys, it's a new year. We're still
tonight's slurring is sponsored by Tito's.
We're getting late. You can tell.
Oh God. So yeah, I'm not sure how much I put in here, but it was a considerable amount. So anyway, normally I don't drink much during the show, but I already had the drink down here open, so I just went and grabbed the bottle and topped it back off.
Better to drink during the show while you're then reloading them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As much as we love adult beverages, please be responsible and don't drink during reloading because, as you can see, after a while it does affect you, and you could do something that causes kabooms. Thank you, everybody that hit like, and thank you once again to everybody that pays attention to this mess. Everybody who paid attention last week know that I lost my dad, so that kind of put back show production for a little bit. Plus, with Chris and everybody being a chat show, my editors were out of town, so I wasn't in any capacity to edit. They weren't available to edit, so we're going to get back on track here this week. So, once again, thanks everybody. Keep your brass shiny.
Jump on the Millsip short bus.
Teach them to shoot and reload when they're young.
Don't listen to your mama. As Grandpa said, violence does solve problems.
Especially with high explosives.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
I had to throw something on there. As Sharonda would say, teach a lady to reload and let her pinch off your stash. As Jim would say, support the Second Amendment. Paul Loud has his own sign off if he ever joins the show. Lube it before you stick it.
He's been drinking too.
Yeah. Hey, just for fun, let's see if I can stick a case. Nope. Fuck. I still can't stick a case. God, that was hilarious though that night. So we did an episode a while back about stuck case removal, and I tried to stick a case in a Lee die so that I could show you how to take a case out, and I couldn't stick the case. I even tried pounding the case into the die. So that's what that joke's about.
We even sprayed brake cleaner on the case, and it
Yeah,
still
I cleaned the die and cleaned the case, and no, couldn't stick it.
So,
and I even used a 243 to resize to a 308.
Yeah.
Still didn't stick it. Anyway, we like you here. We want you here. We enjoy having you here. If you're struggling, 988 1-800-273-8255. Give them a call. They're trained professionals. They can get you the help that you need and get you on the right path. No matter what you're struggling with, no matter what you're dealing with. Being alive is a lot cooler than being dead, gang. So
tell me about it.
Unless, of course, it's your time, then, that's the thing. But suicide's not the answer. So we want you here. And on that note, good night all.
Good night.
Good night.